Hi, I'm Ethan, and this is GomiReviews. Today, we'll be reviewing Outline by Rachel Cusk. Outline is a novel describing the experiences of an author as she teaches a creative writing course in Greece. It takes place over 10 conversations over the 10 chapters. If you want to learn more about the plot, or about the author, or any of the context, Google it. I loved the book, but that doesn't really matter. So, let's get to the review. The passage I've picked today starts on page 55 in the Picador edition of Outline. It concerns the apartment that Faye, the narrator, stays at during her time in Greece. Instead of looking at this big, unreadable paragraph, let's just zoom in and go bit by bit. So I love how this paragraph starts. The language builds her surroundings in a breathtaking way, and it also introduces the conflict that is at the center of the passage. It has Faye looking at this unfamiliar apartment and its surroundings, interpreting all of it, and connecting it to her personal life. However, the interpretation is subtle, and the way she narrates seems like she wants to deny that there's any at all. In the novel, it is clear that something emotionally scarring, likely a divorce, happened to her before she left for Greece, and this passage sees the narration both referencing and rejecting this past. If this is confusing, it'll hopefully become clear over the next few minutes. The terrace is a good place to see how this conflict in interpretation is represented in the text. A terrace is a place that is both inside and outside a building, existing in both places at once, similar to how her interpretation seems to both be her own and an interpretation that just exists without anyone doing anything. See how the second and third sentences paint a picture with their usage of commas? The first sentence divided into little chunks, creating levels from the terrace to the rooftops to the distant hills. While I thought this created a spacious environment in the image, Julie thinks it's claustrophobic in how it slices each part up to be a small, secluded island. But this second passage removes all of the interruptions and relies on seemingly simple sentences. Before I go on, I have a question for you. Why do you think the narration uses the word face rather than person? Comment below because I was stumped. Anyway, so notice that this is the first reference of other people instead of an environment, and that the focus is coming closer to the apartment. While her narrative is describing the action in a neutral tone, the event she is describing is significant. In the first sentence, she uses the word sometimes, making it seem as if she sees many different people across the way. However, the event that she chooses to describe as an example is this occurrence between the man and the woman. The introduction of gender to this passage brings to mind the conflict that she left behind when she came to Greece, not directly pointing out the personal connection, but not rejecting it entirely. And in the narration, she never describes a splat or thwack as the object hits the ground. It seems to just go on forever, the fall continuing through the paragraph, down the rest of the page, and never ending. This is similar to the inescapable quality of separation like that which Faye is going through, one where you expect an end, but it dogs you forever. Fun fact, Rachel Cusk has a cool-ass house. Then, the narration comes even closer and focuses on the trappings of the terrace itself. While it seems like everything is a bit more alive with the description of the big tangled plants, I'd like to point out that they are held not in pots but in urns, like burial urns. The word choice creates a little microcosm of the question behind this passage. Is the plant dead or alive? Or, in other words, is the narration Faye's interpretation that she's hiding or repressing, or is it out of her control completely? I see this passage as presenting how Faye comprehends her surroundings when she is alone, which is rare in a book made almost entirely of conversations with other people. Thus, when using passive voice in the next sentence, it could be imagined rather than I imagined. There is no one else who could be influencing that choice. She herself is speaking in a way that is rejecting any sort of self, abstracting it so it could be anyone imagining the people at this table. Which is why I find the next illustration of the dove so interesting. As the passage has been taking a breath in, stretching out to the distant hills and breathing out, coming closer to Faye herself. It is interrupted. Instead of focusing on Faye, it redirects, instead focusing on the dove. This dove is such an obvious metaphor for Faye, it almost smacks the reader in the face. The usage of the she pronoun, leaving the nest and eventually returning to it. Even the dove's calling out that is left unanswered. So here's the big question, why? Why does she draw such a detailed picture yet leave it incomplete? Being in a partnership, in a relationship, or a marriage can attach you to your partner like you're almost the same person. So in recognizing her own traumatic past in these images and refusing to point them out directly, it's like she's refusing to see any sort of selfhood in her narration. Instead, the missing half of that relationship is all too present, a pattern that is common in this book full of one-sided conversations. But at the same time, she could be trying to assert independence from those memories of her lost half. Instead of pointing out the metaphors apparent in her writing, she attempts to distance the images from the past as much as possible. While feeling the absence of her partner, she sees her current moment as independent from that past life, even if independence from the past is impossible. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the review. I know I really enjoyed making it, and I think Julie really enjoyed doing all the art stuff, and we'll see you back next time. And also, wait, there's a meme at the end of the video. Watch it. It's funny, I think. Alright, bye.